When my husband, Jack, received his inheritance, he revealed Andy's prenuptial agreement and declared, "I don't need a life with you anymore. I'm inheriting $5 million. I don't need you when I have that money." His cold, emotionless words shattered our marriage in an instant. After years of living together, I suddenly felt like nothing more than an obstacle in his pursuit of wealth. But what Jack didn't realize was that there was a significant secret tied to that $5 million. Just as I was grappling with the weight of his words, my daughter, Sophie, caught me off guard with a question. "Mom, is it true that Grandpa is in critical condition?" I froze. Ethan, Jack's father, had indeed been gravely ill, but only Jack and I were supposed to know. "Did your dad tell you that?" Sophie nodded. "Yeah, he called and told me to renounce Grandpa's inheritance." Her words sent a chill through me. Why would Jack tell our daughter to give up her inheritance? Something about this felt deeply wrong, and I had a sinking feeling that my once stable life was about to be upended. Days later, Ethan passed away peacefully. Since our marriage, I had lived with Jack's parents, supporting them through their health struggles. After Jack's mother passed 5 years ago, I had done everything to care for Ethan, ensuring he was never alone. The funeral proceeded without issue, and for a brief moment, I thought the worst was behind me. But I was wrong. Jack's demeanor shifted dramatically. "What are you even doing? Why hasn't this place been cleaned properly?" he snapped, nitpicking over specks of dust and minor imperfections. "I'm sorry, I must have missed it. I'll take care of it now." But it wasn't just about cleaning. "Why are you serving this? Can't you pay more attention to the taste when you cook?" Even dishes he once loved were now beneath him. Gathering my courage, I finally asked, "Is something bothering you lately?" His expression darkened. "It's useless to deny it. Your food has always been awful. I tolerated it because my parents never complained, but I've hated it all along." His words cut like a knife. My mom never slacked off. She cleaned perfectly, did the laundry with care, and put real effort into cooking. "You're nothing like her." I've been patient, but I can't take it anymore. It was the first time he had ever compared me to his mother, and the first time he had spoken to me with such disdain. "I'm truly sorry. I never knew you felt that way." Tears blurred my vision, spilling down my cheeks. Jack's gaze was ice cold. "Crying won't change anything. Your tears mean nothing to me now. Don't show them to me." With that, he abruptly stood and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I rushed after him, calling out, "Jack, where are you going? Come back." But he never even turned around. For the first time, I truly felt like a stranger to the man I had once called my partner. How had we become so distant? Then I remembered Sophie's words. She had mentioned Ethan's inheritance, how it could end up in her hands if things weren't divided differently, and Jack had told her to renounce it. A dark suspicion crept into my mind. Was Jack planning to take everything for himself? Was he planning to abandon me once he secured it? The thought tightened in my chest, my hands trembled. And then, the phone rang, shattering the silence. I hesitated before checking the screen. Jack, the same man who had left without a word, now expected me to answer. I sighed and picked up. "What are you doing? Don't keep me waiting. I'm running out of time." His sharp, authoritative tone caught me off guard. Jack could be stubborn, but this was different. "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" I asked cautiously. "I have something to talk about. I'll be home soon. Stay put." His voice was distant, colder than before. I barely managed to okay before the call ended. I glanced at the clock. 3 hours. That's how long it had been since he stormed out. Lost in my thoughts, I hadn't even realized how much time had passed. Then, the front door creaked open. Jack walked in, and an unfamiliar scent clung to him, a soft, floral body wash. Not ours. Something deep in my gut twisted. "I'll be straight with you," he said, his tone unnervingly calm. "It's over. I want a divorce. As a farewell gift, I'll give you $220,000. That should be enough. I'm tired of you failing at managing the house. I want to live my remaining years in peace." I stood frozen. "Jack, why?" The words barely left my lips. Jack smirked. And then, a phone rang. Not mine, his. The ringtone was different from his usual one. A new sound, a private sound. I watched as he answered, his expression softening slightly. I'm sorry, I haven't finished my errands yet. His voice, gentler, different from how he spoke to me. The unfamiliar scent, the secretive ringtone, the way his voice shifted so effortlessly. I already knew. I whispered, too quietly for him to hear. Jack ended the call and looked down at me, his gaze void of warmth. My intentions haven't changed. I want you to sign this. I'll contact you later. Make sure it's signed by then. I don't plan on coming back to this house. This house is yours now. Without sparing me another glance, Jack turned and headed toward the door, leaving those words hanging in the air. 40 years of marriage, what did it mean now? A few days later, I found myself sitting in a lawyer's office, gathering information about Jack's actions and his father Ethan's inheritance. When I explained everything to Sophie, her face went pale. It hurt to share the truth, but Sophie, out of love and concern for me, wiped away her tears and vowed to confront Jack. She introduced me to a lawyer to help us navigate what was coming next. Hello, I'm Robinson. I'll be handling your case. I'll support you to the best of my ability. The woman, Robinson, seemed calm and composed, likely in her late 40s, with neatly styled hair and a professional demeanor that put me at ease. I'm sorry for this situation, I said, my voice faltering as I introduced myself. This is L. Johnson. I'm a little nervous, considering our first meeting is under such circumstances. It's all right, Robinson reassured me. Sophie has already given me some information. After a careful review of the facts, both the information I had gathered and what Robinson uncovered, we were able to confirm what I feared. Jack had no siblings, and Sophie had renounced her share of the inheritance, leaving it all to Jack. Along with this, we discovered an important detail about his affair with a woman named Jennifer. How do you intend to proceed from here? Robinson asked gently, her voice soft but firm. I'm grateful for your help, I said, nodding in appreciation. After a brief discussion and settling on fees, I left the office, feeling a mix of sadness and resolve. 5 days later, I received a call from Jack. He wanted to meet at a quiet cafe. I arrived a little early, choosing a seat by the window, the peaceful view outside contrasting sharply with the turmoil inside me. When Jack entered with Jennifer, his new girlfriend, he wore a smug grin that immediately set my nerves on edge. Are you ready for the divorce? He asked, his tone casual, as if this was all a foregone conclusion. I was taken aback by his bluntness. It seemed he was completely certain that he was in control. Is this your new associate? I couldn't help but ask, my voice tinged with disbelief. I hadn't expected him to bring her to such an important meeting. Was this really the man I had once loved, or had he always been this way, only now revealing himself after the affair? I couldn't tell. Are you Jack's wife? Jennifer asked, her voice sickeningly sweet. I'm Jennifer. I've recently started dating him. She smiled, wide, almost mocking. I've heard a lot about you. Seeing you in person, you do look a little aged. I wonder how Jack endured all these years. I feel sorry for him, really. Her appearance, polished, youthful, was in stark contrast to mine. At 60, I could see the years etched into my face, but it was her words, dripping with condescension, that stung the most. Jennifer, those tendencies of yours, I warned you about them, I replied coolly, but, if it were me, I'd have treated Jack better. Jennifer smiled again, that same mocking smile. I know, Linda, let's not overthink this anymore. I just want you to sign the divorce papers. Jack jumped in, cutting me off before I could respond. Let's just get this over with. The anger and heartbreak that had been simmering inside me began to rise. Is this all because of my father's inheritance? I demanded, my voice shaking with emotion. After everything we've been through, is this really how it ends? I don't see how my father's inheritance has anything to do with you. Jack responded dismissively. That's solely my inheritance. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I know about the inheritance, Jack. Sophie told me everything. So what? Jack sneered. The inheritance isn't yours to take. You know, Jack, more than the inheritance itself, I think you're leaving me because you're finally done taking care of your parents. That's the real reason, isn't it? I could feel the weight of his words like a physical blow. All those years, all that effort, and I had only been seen as a caregiver. Let's just speed this up, Jack. I want to move on with my life. Have you finally let go of me? I don't want to hear any more excuses. Just sign the divorce papers. My heart was heavy, but I fought back tears. My hands trembled as I pulled the divorce papers from my bag. But when I glanced down, I saw my name hadn't been written yet. The situation's not settled yet, I said quietly. Hand them over. Jack raised an eyebrow. You remember promising me the house and money, right? Yeah, he said with a smirk. I'm a man of my word. The house and the money are yours. I was taken aback by his sudden willingness to honor his promise. But then, he added, but there's something else. You always want to pay the minimum. So I'm asking for $30,000, plus the rights to the house. What compensation? I asked, struggling to keep my voice steady. Remember when we talked about money? It was supposed to be $20,000, but you keep nitpicking. The extra $10,000 matters to me. So $30,000 is what I expect from you. If you want to settle things with me, that's the price, and I'm ready to sign the papers right here. Jennifer piped up. $30,000 should be fine, Jack. Just pay it if it makes you happy. Her words stung. Jack smirked at me, clearly satisfied with the amount. Now, let's get Jack's signature on the land title change document and the alimony agreement, Mrs. Robinson prepared. I could see Jack's surprise, but I wasn't fazed. I have a life to continue, I said calmly. Together, we made the necessary preparations, and Jack smiled, as though he knew what was coming. So, Linda, he said, are you going to sign the divorce papers now? I nodded. Understood, I said, and pulled the pen toward me. With a steady hand, I signed my name and stamped it firmly. Jack burst into laughter, his voice loud and triumphant. Now we're done. You and I are no longer connected. By the way, I'm inheriting $5 million, so I don't need someone like you anymore. Thanks for the divorce, you foolish ex-wife, letting go so easily for just $30,000. I could hear his laughter echoing behind me as I walked out of the cafe, and the sting of it lingered as I left the life I had known behind. I hurriedly left and made my way to City Hall. My only goal now was to finish the procedure quickly and sever all ties with Jack and Jennifer once and for all. They may have been laughing and celebrating now, but I wondered how long their happiness would last. A month later, I had sold the house, received my share from Jack, and was preparing for a new life. I decided to live near my daughter, Sophie, who had plans to settle close to her husband's family. Given that Jack's mother lived nearby, I thought there might be moments when I'd feel the weight of the past lurking around me. To my surprise, Sophie's husband welcomed me warmly, always thoughtful and considerate, which reassured me. Sophie, at first, had been furious with Jack's betrayal, but when I shared a certain piece of information with her, her expression shifted, and she smiled brightly. I had a feeling Jack would eventually figure out what I was up to. As proof, I deliberately kept my phone number the same. And sure enough, that day came sooner than expected. That afternoon, my phone began ringing repeatedly. It was Jack. He called over and over, but I chose not to answer at first. After the fourth or fifth attempt, I finally picked up. Hello? Why are you doing this? His voice was frantic, and I could tell by his tone that he wasn't expecting me to pick up. What's going on? You're calling me out of the blue, raising your voice. What's the problem? I responded, surprised at his sudden agitation. Where are you right now? Jack demanded. I assumed he'd gone to the house we once shared, but by now, it had already been sold. The house may have new tenants, or perhaps it had been demolished. I could almost picture him standing there, confused and panicked. For a fleeting moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Since we've decided to divorce, there's no reason for you to be involved in my life anymore. Where did Sophie go? I can't find her. So he'd gone to Sophie's old place, of course. She wasn't there anymore. I had handled all the paperwork and arrangements for her move to her husband's family home, so Jack had no way of knowing her new address. He was hitting dead ends, and I could feel him scrambling for answers. Yes, Sophie has moved, I replied, my voice steady. Why didn't you tell me about that? Did you know about it too? I could hear the realization sinking in. By that, are you referring to the hidden debt Ethan had? When I delved into Ethan's inheritance, I was shocked to learn of the large sum he left behind, and the staggering debt that came with it. Ethan had likely planned to repay it with his $5 million inheritance, but he died before he could settle it. Jack had neglected to do his research, and it had been his downfall. Did you know about my dad's debt? Jack's voice suddenly turned tense, as if he was already bracing for the answer. Information is easy to come by, I replied coolly. Anyone could have figured it out with a little digging. That's why I noticed it. I could almost feel his frustration and rage building on the other end of the line. What about the promised money? Jack asked, his voice tinged with desperation. What about the money you were supposed to return? There it was, the real reason he was calling. And what about the property, he added. If I'd known about my dad's debt from the start, I wouldn't have gotten involved at all. I knew exactly what he meant. He thought that by getting rid of me, he'd secure the inheritance and make a fresh start. Now that the truth had come to light, he was scrambling. I understand how you feel, I thought to myself. But I wasn't going to say it aloud. But think about it, Jack continued, his tone softer now. You got to marry a beautiful woman, right? Isn't that lucky? I had no idea whether Jennifer had been attracted to Jack for his charm or his wealth, but I had a strong suspicion. As soon as Jennifer found out about my debt, she left me, he said, his voice breaking slightly. I'd expected it. I knew it, I murmured. Jack's tone shifted again. It was almost pleading now. Linda, think about it. How about starting over with me? I feel deceived by Jennifer. I just realized now, you're the one I really need. I was stunned. Had he forgotten everything he had done to me? The pain, the betrayal? I'm cornered, Jack continued, his voice nearly a whisper. Every day, the collectors are after me. The debt is piling up. I'm at my limit. I feel like my life is in danger. Please, help me. Even with his desperate words, I remained calm. Would Jack have helped me if our roles were reversed? I took a deep breath and carefully chose my words. Right now, I'm living peacefully, I said, my voice steady. And I'm satisfied. I want to continue living in peace. You might have forgotten, but, do you remember what you said back then? There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Jack was speechless. You mean, back then, he asked, his voice uncertain. Yes, I replied. Exactly. Jack, I'm truly grateful that we got divorced. Thank you for giving me the chance to choose a new path. I could hear the tremor in Jack's voice, maybe even tears, but I had made my decision. Quietly, I ended the call. That was it. The final severing of our relationship. I don't know how Jack is managing now or what his life looks like, but somewhere deep down, I hope he's making an effort to deal with the consequences of his choices. Linda, how about taking a walk outside and enjoying the beautiful scenery? At that moment, I felt at peace. Now, I'm enjoying my life with someone wonderful I met through a hobby in Chicago. He's kind, warm, and always by my side. Spending time with him brings me happiness I never thought I'd find again.